Aaron.
Yeah.
Why didn't you say it the first time I said Aaron?
Because it's pronounced Aaron.
You done messed up, Aaron.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to more SPTV, where every day is a great day not to be in a cult. I am Natalie. I'm from Life After a Cult here on YouTube, and I'm covering while our friend Aaron Smith-Levin is currently in jail. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you to the mods for being here. We are going to have a chat today. I have a special guest coming on. We're going to talk about Tom Cruise recently got an award, but did he thank Scientology? And there's some other news as well that I somehow missed and have not seen and got caught up on that about Tom Cruise. I was like, what? He said what? So we're going to look at all of this. So right away, I am going to bring Kelli Copter, my fabulous special guest.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, I miss you so much.
Oh, I miss you too. And I'm excited to dive into this episode today, Mr. Tom Cruise.
That's right. That's right. I haven't seen you. I mean, of course we message, but I haven't seen you since I saw you in Florida, probably in September.
Oh my gosh, we had so much fun, didn't we? I miss you guys. We just had such a good laugh. That Airbnb. Oh my gosh, the stories you guys will never hear.
I know. We never did.
We started a vlog.
Yeah, we started a vlog. We started with the best of intentions. I was like, I'm going to stream every day. We're going to create all this content together. And I swear every time we all get together, that's what we say. And we don't ever do it because the fun is too fun. We just want to, for me, I just want to hang out with you guys.
It does kill it. As soon as you bring out a phone camera and put it in someone's face, you're then not with the person as much. So, it is a really hard thing. We so rarely get to enjoy each other's company. And because of this StreamYard format and everything, we can always make a video. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
we can't always do hugs and all of that. Someone we won't be hugging is Tom Cruise.
Yes.
I'm sure some people in the chat might want to, though. But I heard that people fancy this guy. There's people that think he's like a heartthrob.
Oh, a lot. Generationally too. Now, and I've got some thoughts on this whole Tom Cruise award that we're going to get into, and some of my thoughts might be controversial. So fair warning, y'all, don't come for me. You too, Kelli Copter.
Can't promise anything.
Let me start off here. Let's do a little bit of housekeeping here. If you are not familiar with Kelli Copter, here is her channel here on YouTube. Make sure that you do subscribe and follow her. Kelli has got so much amazing content on her channel. Ex-Offices of Special Affairs agents and still a believer. She's covered other cults as well. Scientology stuff. It just goes on and on. So make sure you check out Kelli Copter.
Thank you. I've not posted for a really long time, but I always come back. I'm like a real helicopter. Sometimes you see me, sometimes you don't.
Exactly. I'm feeling that. I was on my radical sabbatical from YouTube, and then Aaron had to go, and end up in jail, and then I had to come out of that, and
and here we are, guys.
Here we are. So we are going to get into this Tom Cruise story. I also, let's see here. You can tell too, I have been out of StreamYard for a hot minute. I want to share here. And the moderators are dropping this. The moderators worked hard to get this Give, Send, Go going for Aaron to help with his expenses. You can see it here. Moderators will be putting this link in throughout this video. We are very close to hitting that goal there. How wonderful if we could get it done by the end of our video.
Nice. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. So we are just somebody do the math, 2,000 and change from the goal on there. And it would be amazing if we could wrap that up even during this video. So mods will be sending the link. Thank you so much to everybody who is able to help with that. You can also watch his video. Watch time is how content creators get paid here on YouTube. So keep that in mind as well. When you're watching his videos, you're playing that content, sharing that content, that helps as well. And thank you to everybody who's done that. Thank you. Thank you so much. And to everybody who has been jumping in. Eventually, we will sit down and maybe once Aaron is out of jail and let you know the behind the scenes crazy and things that go on to make all of this happen. But there's been so many people jumping in and helping out and so much support from our audience here that it's just amazing. It helps keep me going because I know what my life is like at the moment, but I also know that everybody else is just as busy and has things going on, and everyone is stepping forward and stretching themselves to do this. And I think it says a lot about, Aaron and our relationship with Aaron and what he feels he does for this community and what he does to help educate about the harmful practices of Scientology.
Yeah. And it's gone to show as well, like all of us are so busy, but you can make time for your friends, like, and we all have. It's been awesome to see everyone putting up the videos. Like it's just so good.
Yes, and it's been fun. So let's get into talking about what is happening here with Tom Cruise. So, as we know, Tom Cruise recently finally got an Oscar. Tom Cruise on his first Oscar making film is Who I Am. He won a lifetime. He was awarded a Lifetime Achievement Award in the Oscars, and we were wondering, like, is he going to thank Scientology? You know what I'm saying? What do you think, Kelli?
I mean, it wouldn't shock me, but I think it would be a silly move of him to do, like, outwardly. I haven't seen this speech yet. Somebody else got an honorary award too, Dolly Parton, 54 nominations, which is why she got her honorary one. So well deserved. I think Tom got 4 nominations in his career. So I don't know I don't know that I think he should get this honorary award, because I guess, I don't know. I think, or do you think, you guys in the audience think, who runs Hollywood? Does Scientology run Hollywood? I don't know. I hope they don't. But it's all about where the money is. So
yeah, I think it's a matter of whoever is looking at it, right? What your point of view is. I am a big believer in, we see the world not necessarily how it is, but as we are, because based on our experience and where we come from. On one hand, I look at Tom Cruise and I'm like, dude, like, you are best friends with David Miscavige, the leader of Scientology. There's no way you're not aware of some of these human rights abuses. But let me tell you, as a former Scientologist, we did not see, I will just speak for myself. I did not see some of the things today I look at and go, whoa, girl, that's a human rights abuse. Back then, I didn't see it that way. We were indoctrinated to believe otherwise. And maybe some of our audience, all you amazing people never in Scientology, but all in on ending this cult, can relate. It is, do you separate the art from the person? I think this is a question and a debate that has gone back and forth, because I can look at it and appreciate and go, he is a fine actor. He makes good movies. He's got a good work ethic. On the flip side of that, Sea Org member after Sea Org member work for him for free. Their job, it was even for the Sea organization, was somehow to find him a wife. All those things. So it gets very conflicted. Yeah, and decorate his house and redo his airplane hangar, or whatever it was, redo one of his vehicles. There's been multiple people who've left the Sea organization and they've talked about this. And I think people get very conflicted with it. And I think, I don't know. I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I know I consider him to be a butthole because of his connection to Scientology and taking on all of the free labor for it. But as an actor, taking that aside, oh, okay, don't come for me, but I think he deserved it.
Just because he made so many, or
I think he makes pretty good movies.
You know what? That's fair enough. You're allowed that opinion, of course. Like, I don't think I could support him. I can't bear to watch him because
and I don't mean like, I don't pay per view his movies. I don't pay money to see his movies. It's not in that way. I don't support him in that way. I'm just saying that for a group of people, whoever made this decision, I could see how they got there. Sure. I think it's not a good choice because you're elevating somebody who has such direct ties to a human trafficking cult. You're elevating somebody who disconnected from his child because of a human trafficking cult. there are so many things there that play into like, what are you doing? I am just saying that if you just strictly look at the art and his ability as an actor and somebody who create movies, he does do a good job of it. Because I think that people were multifaceted. You can have people who can be incredibly talented and horrible individuals. And then you can have people who are the most caring, giving, loving, give back people, but maybe not talented in other areas. So it's something that bounces around in my head of like, I can appreciate the art. I'm not going to support him because of these things, but I can see how, because when you read these articles, you can see, or maybe some of the comments and stuff, how many people do support him and appreciate his art. And I just think that these two things can be true. So hate on me if you must.
I could never hate on you, Natalie. I don't agree with it, but, you know, I do agree with the fact that it's an industry and, you know, it's a business at the end of the day. And he sinks so much money into those films and provides a lot of jobs as well for people in the film industry that work on those films as well. So, you know, there's no doubt he's a huge part of Hollywood and the industry in that way. But I then think of the profits he's probably made and then put back into Scientology's pockets. And then I wonder who else in Hollywood is also on their side, and is it all orchestrated? Like, you know, but then that's just my like conspiracy brain coming out a little bit there.
But I think there's some truth to that. And this article that you and I were looking at this the other day. Let's take a peek. This is the BBC talking about how U.S. film star Tom Cruise has received his first ever Oscar statue. Cruise, 63, accepted an honorary Oscar at the annual Governor's Awards in Hollywood alongside singer, philanthropist Dolly Parton, choreographer Debbie Allen, and production designer Wynn Thomas. Quote, "Making films is not what I do, it is who I am," the fourfold Oscar nominee said on Sunday, accompanying his long-awaited Academy Award honor with an acceptance speech about his love of cinema. The Top Gun and Mission Impossible actor paid tribute to filmmakers in front of and behind the lens, those he has worked with during his 45-year career, as well as the power of movies. Upon taking the stage, Cruise received minutes-long standing ovation, and is that ruckus?
Raucous
round of applause from film luminaries in the audience, including Steven Spielberg, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Jerry Bruckheimer. Now, though, I don't know if you heard this, Kelly, but there was a little bit of a kerfluffle because Colin Farrell, at one point, Tom Cruise asked everybody that he's ever worked with to stand up. If I worked with you, stand up, stand up. Okay, number one, that's creepy. I hate that. Like, there's nothing more. And again, come at me if you need to. I hate going to anything where you have to stand up or introduce yourself in a circle. You know, I don't know
Tell
what
us a
my
fun
button
fact
is
about yourself.
And you know, Kelly, I think you and I have talked about this. Like, I've worked in radio, done podcasts, and here on YouTube, but I don't like the attention, like people looking at me here. This is just us. It's our back end. It's me and you. And then of course people can see, but that's a thing that, you know, but when I was in radio, nobody could see. It's different. So having to go and stand up and go, "Oh, my name is Natalie and I do blah, blah, blah." I mean, I don't know. That's just me, you guys. It's this weird dichotomy of, I don't like people looking at me, yet what I've done at multiple times in my career have involved being, you know, either having my voice out there or doing video like this. What about you? It just makes me cringe sometimes.
I mean, for one thing, you know, I don't think you should feel like that because you're so wonderful to watch and you're very entertaining in real life and off screen. So, you know, I yeah, in real life and off screen and on screen. You know what I mean? But yeah, I do know what you mean. I always think like I want to share information, but
yeah,
you know, there is a sort of pressure that comes with being like having a channel that's about you and all of that stuff, you know, and I do find it a little intimidating. You know, none of us are sort of media trained, I guess, is probably the word. We're not actors, like despite what some people think. This isn't all, we're not so coordinated and making like we've got a show planned, which I think some people think the SPTV verse is like a sort of Kardashians-esque show.
Who thinks that?
I do. When I see the way some people talk about it, I am like, you guys think this is like a TV show? I swear.
It would be the opposite, though. I'm saying, like, it would be. I mean, at least the Kardashians have a whole bunch of money, and then you have this whole aspirational life.
Right.
I'm over here eating chicken, standing up on my center island. I mean, there's nothing sexy about what I got going on over here.
Yeah. But no, I totally know what you mean, and I don't know I know you're busy with your move and your job and things. And I got a new job too and stepped back from YouTube a bit. And I didn't realize until I stepped back that there was so much pressure on, showing up and being there and dealing with haters and dealing with all the stuff. And you're just like, ooh, like, you don't know if it's worth it. You're like, you know what? I'm happy with my life. My life is good. I don't need all the extra drama that comes with the attention from the internet. But I'm not a famous actor, so
Yeah,
sure,
exactly. Neither of us are Tom Cruise, and I can't completely relate, Kelly, because I don't have any haters.
No, you don't.
Honestly, though, because if I don't, this is my point of view. If I don't pay attention, there are all kinds of things that happen and go on in the world that I have no idea about. So in my universe, in my world, in my day-to-day, they just don't exist.
Yeah.
And that's how it is for me. I can barely keep up with my actual life and work, and then, trying to do videos and things like that, that I'm like, I'm just like, I just go along like la 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 la.
Yeah, I mean, and we don't even get it half as bad. Like,
No.
I think one of the reasons we've all rallied around Aaron in this time as well is because he gets it all day, every day, from all corners of the internet. And he's out here just trying to do a good thing, and we all see that, obviously. Obviously, we're friends, so we might be a bit biased. But yeah, like it's not easy, and no normal, regular, non-media person would probably be able to cope with that amount of pressure and just bad vibes coming from people.
Yeah, exactly. It's all kind of, it's different scales. It's different, orders of magnitude. It is different. Aaron has a much larger channel than any of us. And you look at like, Tom Cruise as a celebrity and a well-known person. I think that he is probably, no doubt, one of the most well-known actors in Hollywood of his time. And his career spans multiple generations. This is a question I would like to pose to the audience. Why, despite knowing, because I feel like enough people have gotten the word out about about Scientology and the truth and how Tom Cruise supports it and has actually taken advantage of the free labor, has disconnected from his own daughter but yet the majority, at least of what I see, of people out there still support him. So are they separating out the actor or they just don't know enough about it? I don't know. I would be interested to see what the audience thinks about that, because now Tom Cruise has gotten a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Oscars, and he does have a large body of work. I don't know, but check out this article too, Kelly. I was going to get your thoughts on this. So he's talking about, Cruise says in his speech, the cinema, it takes me around the world. Cruise said in his speech, it helps me to appreciate and respect differences. It shows me also our shared humanity, how alike we are in so many ways. And I look at that, I just go, girl, please, because
you don't know what it's like.
Yes, our shared humanity. You've had people who sign billion-year contracts, doing your laundry, cleaning your house, fixing your cars. They're making $47 a week, and they're doing this because they think they are clearing the planet, that they are saving people. I can't reconcile those two things. I feel like if I was in his position, and maybe it's because I was a Sea Org member, I don't see being able to take advantage of that when I make if I were Tom Cruise, you make millions of dollars. How do you justify it? And there is this concept, L. Ron Hubbard says you flow power to power. So somebody who's making a big impact, you are supposed to support them. And, on face value, that's like, okay, I mean, I guess that does kind of make sense. But in Scientology, it's taken to an extreme. So it's okay because Tom Cruise reaches so many people, he should be allowed to have all of this free labor. What do you think? How do you make sense of it?
No, I think it's completely ridiculous that, that's the kind of attitude about it. Tom Cruise has no idea how most people on this planet live. And as well, I think the reason I get the ick so much with this whole thing is, his probably crowning body of work is the Mission Impossible movies. But that character he plays in those movies, that's who he thinks he is in real life. Like in it, based on that famous Scientology speech of his that got leaked, with the black turtleneck, and how he kind of it's like that he is going to save humanity because he is the most OT guy who's got all of the ability, and we should all back Tom Cruise because Tom Cruise is going to save the world.
Exactly.
I just don't like it. It gives me the ick.
Yeah. Me too. And as a recovering from Scientology, letting go of a lot of those concepts, sometimes it takes time. And this is one that I've been able to, I feel like, kind of see it differently. Because somebody has a big impact or effect, I don't think today that means they get carte blanche and we look the other way because they do this or that. In Tom Cruise's case, because it's tied to actual, human trafficking and destroying families. We're not talking about like, well, he shows up late to work all the time, or even that if he were difficult to work with. I think those are very different things for somebody who is an actor, could do very well. And there's many of them who aren't known for giving people the warm and fuzzies. I think Sean Penn is one of them. We can probably think of others. Throw them in the chat if you guys are thinking of any other actors who fall into this category. But this is different. This isn't being late to work. This isn't just being difficult to work with. This isn't even being short with people. It's supporting an organization that actually destroys families. It's using the policy of disconnection, even with his own family. This is the man who also, when his niece was, I think she was 13, 14 years old, was caught kissing a boy on his property on security cameras. He banished her for 2 years. This girl did not see her mother for 2 years because he did this, because she did this, and did what? Did what so many teenagers do all the time.
Yeah. The only saving grace I think could be is if, Tom Cruise is actually a double agent here and he's getting all the intel from the inside and he's actually planning to take the whole thing down. That's the only reason, only way I could see this award being fully deserved, in my opinion. I think it's crazy to celebrate this guy as some sort of a hero, given what he supports. And like you said, he knows what's going on, Natalie. There's no way that he doesn't, especially if he's besties with David Miscavige. There's no way that he's going to sort of hide his, I don't know, his personality or whatever. Not that I know firsthand what David Miscavige's personality is like, but I think we can trust many of the reports out there, from people who have interacted with him or been beat up by him. So yeah, I just can't get on board with it.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I also don't think his recent movies are as good as his older movies. A Few Good Men, Born on the 4th of July, I think are much better than the Mission Impossible movies. I think the Mission Impossible movies are about location and the stunts, and that he does his own stunts. I think that's really, but I can't tell one Mission Impossible from the other. I've seen a few of them. It just seems to be, and apparently it's a working formula. It's just not my thing. One, because it's Tom Cruise, but I can more look at his earlier work and just strictly speaking,
War of the Worlds was pretty good.
Films. Oh, War of the Worlds. I love that movie, but I love sci-fi. That movie would have been good whether he was in it or not.
Yeah,
I mean, it could have been somebody else. It was just, it's a good movie. It's a good story.
I think I would have taken Bruce Willis in that movie. I think that would have been a vibe. Or Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Could do it.
Oh, Chris Hemsworth should redo War of the Worlds. That would be awesome. There was they did another War of the Worlds. I forget which channel it was on, but it was a series. And I watched it. A couple seasons are out. I thought that was really good. Tell me in the comments if you saw that more recent War of the Worlds series. Lori Marie says, oops, he ruined Jack Reacher's character for me.
I don't know if I always wonder what other like really famous actors would think, like what they think of Tom Cruise. Are they friends with him? Like Leonardo DiCaprio stands up or whatever, applauds for him. It's like, I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio's got his own stuff going on with his dating pool and whatever, but are they friends? Can Tom Cruise have friends because of his Scientology thing? Like, I don't know. Does he try and convert everyone he meets? Like these are the things I really wish I had a fly on the wall experience to know.
I'm sure he has some. I think that friendship might look differently to him. You know what I'm saying? Like as far as what he says publicly is that, or what he has said at Scientology events, when he said, oh, I mean, I wish I could go on vacation and do all these things, but there's just too much to do. We have a job to do here. I'm like, when I was a Sea Org member making $47 a week, not seeing my family, being, coerced into terminating my pregnancy, all of those things, I just cannot relate to that. I cannot. And that's where I think he's very tone deaf when it comes to actual, maybe not everyday Scientologists, some of who are not aware always of the human rights abuses that occur in a large scale in the Sea organization, because it really is in Scientology's Sea organization. Everyday staff members as well, but not as much. Everyday public parishioners in Scientology, as they call them, same thing, but not, it's not to the level of a Sea organization member. It's like the higher up you go, the worse the human rights abuses get in Scientology.
Yeah, and the sacrifices are not even similar. Tom Cruise not getting to go on holiday, vacation for those of you who are Americans. That is not the same as people not being allowed to see their family, and people being coerced into abortions and working those ridiculous hours and all of this, losing their childhoods because they have to work for this organization, religious visa abuse, like that there is they're not comparable. Tom Cruise having to, I just got to make more movies, I gotta really put into this industry. It's what I'm supposed to do. Like, no, you're not. You're a celebrity, fine. You're a famous actor, fine. You do not know how the people in your own backyard are living their lives, or you do, and that's even worse. Let alone people out in the world that he's met. Like, it's delusional.
I agree with that completely. And when you look at when he says things like here, when he says, I want you to know that I will always do everything I can to help this art form, to support and champion new voices, to protect what makes cinema powerful, hopefully without too many more broken bones. Because he does his own stunts. And
don't complain about it. Don't complain about broken bones if you want to do your own stunts. You could have a stunt double. All right, you're 63. You're 63 years old. Don't be doing your own stunts. Okay, it'll probably kill him one day. He'll probably die jumping out of a helicopter. Like, I hope he doesn't. Okay, don't wish that on anyone. But he's playing a dangerous game, you know, and I think part of the superhuman thing that Scientology sells, like you've got cause over your life and freaking gravity or whatever, like you can do whatever you want. Sure, that adrenaline might get you through a couple of stunts, but guess what? You're still in a human body and you will age and could get hurt fatally. And then what will Scientologists say about why Tom Cruise couldn't do this last stunt? You know, I think he is in danger too with that mentality and that ideology of superhumanism, which is, you know, is messed up on so many levels.
Being an immortal God in ways, which seems to be the goal of Scientology, or at least how they put it to people. I would love to see him take that dedication, because what a lot of people in the industry admire about him is his dedication to film, is his dedication to the industry, is his dedication to keeping it going. Okay, I'll give you that. That's admirable. Can we get some of that dedication over here into taking a look at the, you know, human trafficking cult that destroys families?
Just a little bit. Yeah, exactly.
Look, can we take a look and can we see? I don't know. I don't know if that's ever going to happen with him.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Cinema is amazing, and I love to watch a movie. I was literally at the cinema watching Wicked the other night, and it was just such a spectacle. It was incredible. You know, and I think the film industry is really important. I do. It's a way of telling stories, you know. But, you know, we got lots of other real world problems, you know, wars going on and world hunger and all of this other stuff. Like it isn't the most important thing, even though it is part of our society. And, you know, he just needs a little bit of come back to earth moment, maybe, you know. And like you said, we could just funnel like 10% of the energy into, you know, the human trafficking thing. That would be great.
Just pull back the curtain a little bit more. Can we stop justifying having, you know, Scientology staff members and Sea Organization members working for nothing, for doing all that work for nothing? Yet he gets paid. He gets paid. He doesn't go out there and work for nothing. Yet, why do the people who dedicate lifetime after lifetime to a cult like Scientology why aren't they better taken care of? What about them? What about, you know, he's very passionate about the industry and making sure people are taken care of, right? And that is an admirable thing. But what about these people over here? Why are they less than human? Why is it okay for them to be slave labor for what he needs? And let's be honest, you know, David Miscavige, the head of Scientology, there's been multiple reports that he uses these people to actually spy on Tom Cruise. So joke's on you, Tom Cruise.
Yeah, literally. But I wonder if it's because maybe he doesn't actually think that they are important and a part of, you know, we're obviously deep in the weeds of this, what Scientology think they're doing for the world, like, you know, clear the planet and bring everyone up to like this able state of being, or whatever they think that is. You know, which is obviously kind of crazy. But I don't think Tom Cruise thinks all of those Sea Org members are doing that. I think he only thinks that he is doing that, and Dave is doing that, and the books are doing that, you know. So I just don't think he sees them as equals at all. I don't.
No, they're doing the work. They're doing the work. And a reminder, if you just jumped in with us, we have the moderator sharing a link to a fundraiser put together to help Aaron. And we were almost at the goal. We would love to hit that goal and wrap that up. So whatever anybody can do, make sure you check that out.
How is pray an option? Why is pray an option? I didn't realize that was a thing you could do.
Well, you know, I mean, for a lot of people, it's very helpful. So I could see how it's better than, you know, let's postulate it, which in Scientology is what they would say. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. You're putting it out there to, you know, the universe. And I think prayer is directed towards God.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Gives you, But yeah, I always found that interesting in Scientology. We could do a whole separate video on postulating and how Scientology thinks you should manifest.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, do they believe in law of attraction? Do you remember that Uber driver we had who totally was a Scientologist, who totally was chelping on about law of attraction?
There is they kind of have a twist on it where it's you. See, this is Scientology math. This is how it works.
Okay.
If you pull in good things in your life as a Scientologist, maybe you get a new job, maybe you get a raise, whatever it is, that's because of Scientology. Cool. Now, if you get mugged, divorced, someone cheats on you, you cheat on somebody, your life is falling apart, whatever it is, that's all you, girl. No,
what?
That's you. That's your inability to apply Scientology. So you pull in bad things because of you pull in good things because of Scientology. So that's kind of like how they see it there. And that's part of the indoctrination.
It's not me, it's my evil aliens, I swear.
My body Thetans made me do it. And on the upper levels, because I did, and I'm embarrassed to admit, I did some of the upper levels in Scientology. So I did my fair share of exercising alien entities.
Wait, how far did you get?
Operating Thetan level 4. So I got through. You're still doing Xenu, but it's more related to drugs because your body Thetans, apparently some of them have drug problems. And that's might be what makes you. And when I did it, like I did some heavy drinking as a teenager when I had a stint where I was, basically living no supervision whatsoever. And trying to work through my whole, like not wanting to be in Scientology, wanting to leave, but having nowhere to go and that whole thing. But you can't rationalize what makes no sense. You can't rationalize the irrational. And I think that's one of the biggest things when it comes to Scientology is you can't make sense out of something that actually makes no sense. The whole point is it doesn't make sense and it doesn't add up.
Do you remember your reaction to reading that Xenu story? Do you remember what it was? I wish I could have seen it.
Yes. Yes. And for me, it wasn't that crazy because you got to remember, like I grew up in Scientology and L. Ron Hubbard doesn't talk about Xenu or body Thetans in everyday books and whatnot, but he talks about other things that he called it space opera, like that there were spaceships and we flew around in spaceships for multiple lifetimes. And I can't ever recall him using the word aliens, but it's who we were. Like we were on other planets. He never used like the words aliens and UFO, but we talk about spacecraft. We are the aliens. Exactly. I'm an alien. Yeah, no. That was the whole idea. I think you get to is that you're like, oh, okay. But to answer your question, for me, it wasn't necessarily the strangest thing I'd seen so far. And I grew up in Scientology. I wasn't raised in another religion. When I learned from my friends about Jesus and drinking the blood of Christ and, eat this, it's the flesh, I was like, whoa, pump the brakes for a minute here. What are we doing? Because I didn't understand the symbolism or what it was really about or the background about that religion or why people do that. So to me, it just seemed very strange, odd, and weird. So Scientology, when I would read something or study something, and I'd be like, whoa, pump the brakes. One of the things that would be said that I would be told, and I'm sure other Scientologists too, was, well, if you didn't know the background and the meaning behind drinking the blood of Christ and all that, it would be weird to you. Mary having a child, having Jesus, Immaculate Conception would be like weird. How could that happen? That's how at the upper levels, they kind of push you into accepting that this is not that strange. And honestly, I've always believed that there's other life out there. I think that multiple universes were way too vast. And I think it's narcissistic to think, oh, it's just us and we are at the top of the food chain. No, we're not. I really doubt that. I think that we're evolving, like probably
we don't even know what's in the ocean, Natalie. We don't even know what's in our own ocean. So
girl, get me started on that. Yeah.
You can totally tell, like from our chat, like what kind of videos we watch on YouTube.
And talk about behind the scenes. I'm like, oh my God, did
Literally.
you see this? Yeah.
Literally.
So for me, it wasn't the most unbelievable thing to do because
Mhm.
of growing up in. I have been more interested in the reactions of many who didn't grow up in Scientology. But then you got people who grew up in Scientology who still had a really big negative reaction to that. I don't know. I think because I was always like, well, I think there probably are other life forms. So maybe it could have happened. You know, you just work through like how could it be true kind of a
Mhm.
thing, and you talk yourself into it. And I'm like, well, I guess they're making a good point with Immaculate Conception and Christianity and all of that.
Yeah.
And people believe that. So why would this be so far-fetched?
The thing is, though, if it wasn't all behind a paywall and with the abuses and
Yeah.
all the trafficking things, if it was none of that and it was just, yeah, we believe however many million years ago it was dropped in a volcano, blah, 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 you know, it would actually be much more accepted as a religion because you could choose to believe that, just like you can be a
Yeah.
Jedi or whatever,
Yeah.
like any other religion, because you know it's based on faith. It's not something you can prove
Mhm.
necessarily, and you know that would be okay. You know, you live your life on a set of principles based on this story, sure.
Yeah.
Um, the issue with Scientology is the way it has been done, you know, with the paywall and with their Sea Org. Like that's effed up. And there are some things that I will say in there that I think are bad to teach people. I think a lot of the ethics books are
Yeah.
wrong. I don't think they are helpful or good for anybody. And
Mhm.
even the way you think about yourself. I'm now just picking it all apart again, what I've just said. But you know, like, yeah, the way you're supposed to think about yourself in terms of good stuff happening, bad stuff happening, that you can achieve some sort of superhuman thing, like this stuff is just not true.
Yeah.
And it could be quite dangerous for people to buy into that, because who knows what someone might do, especially when you can get pushed into like sort of psychoses. You know, you're sat for hours. I'm sure you did that on your levels. I know my dad did it, where you're auditing your own aliens.
Mhm.
You could send yourself into a spiral doing that,
Yeah.
and who knows what could
People have.
happen. Yeah,
People
exactly.
have. Are people who have had, mental health challenges during and after doing Scientology's upper confidential levels. And you're right, they put it behind a paywall. And in other religions, you could just grab the Bible and go, okay, these are all the things that we believe. It's
They
right
give them out for
there.
free.
Yeah, it doesn't even cost you anything. So I look at that and I go, okay, doesn't cost you anything, you know, millions of people, it helps them. It's not everybody's cup of tea. And you've got different other religions as well where it's similar in that way. And then you got Scientology over here with a front facing, this is what we do. And then the higher you go up, you find out that no, that's actually not it. And then you get even further. I only did through operating Thetan level 4. When you get through operating Thetan level 8, or at least the original operating Thetan level 8, I don't know what it's like today. And I think Tom Cruise has done this, where L. Ron Hubbard, he comes out with that, like, oh, and by the way, Jesus is a pedo. And you just go, whoa, again, pump the brakes. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is so, why would you say that? Number
Mm,
one, you don't know that. Like, we're taking all of this from a man, a human man,
mm,
who had some recollection of this, who knew that this is what happened because the e-meter validated it for him. And that's the mind control piece, that when you're in it, you believe. I believed growing up because as a child, L. Ron Hubbard was like a god. Everything he said was correct. Everything he did was precise. And I see Tom Cruise, I think, trying to emulate this. Is that the right
mm.
word? Emulate? I'm
Yeah,
having
yeah.
a menopause brain fart.
Emulate is the
Emulate.
correct word.
Okay.
Ding!
Ding, ding. I think you see Tom Cruise trying to emulate this, but not in the way, because I know people who are like, they talk about like wanting to, walk a path like Jesus or some other religious figure. It's different than Tom Cruise believing he is the God, but doing basically what L. Ron Hubbard did. You're with us, you're against us. This intensity. This is the only way. We're the only one. Going back to the turtleneck sweater video. If you were in a car accident, like, you better hope a Scientologist is around, because we are the only ones. I was in Scientology watching that live during that event thinking,
wow,
what?
that's
I was
amazing.
three generations in Scientology, 4 if you count Grandpa Dad. And I was sitting there going, wait, what? The only ones who can help people at a car accident, I don't know, but there's this thing called paramedics, doctors, nurses, people like that who can actually help. And there's an arrogance there, but that is perpetuated by L. Ron Hubbard himself in his teachings. He is infallible. Everything he says. I mean, in the Sea Org, Kelli, there were flag orders, which were L. Ron Hubbard references only for the Sea Org. Everyday Scientologists never saw these. It was just for the Sea Org. And it would be things like how to wash a car. I mean, you had to do it the way that he said it should be done. And I think that is incredibly dangerous. It creates this idea that any one person has all of the answers is insanity, in my opinion. And a large part of me breaking away from Scientology was recognizing that L. Ron Hubbard was only a man, and that L. Ron Hubbard was a con artist, that L. Ron
and
Hubbard
a hypnotist,
and a sex occultist. All of the things you don't learn in Scientology, and you find out after. You've done extensive videos on a lot of that stuff.
Well, what I've been looking at as well is I'm doing a piece at the minute. It's taking me ages, but it's trying to find a cult that's existed in every single state in America, and there is at least a few for each state at the minute. But the amount of the leaders that I find that have claimed to be Jesus, like, they're like, yes, I am the reincarnation. And it's a supply and demand thing as well. Like, there are people looking for answers, and there's someone's like, well, I think I got the answers, and then they all flock there as well. So it's like I don't know, it's a scary thing that happens when trusting nice people will listen to someone who is a narcissistic cult leader. And then that's it. They've given their life to them because they're being convinced that they're doing something positive for humanity and themselves and their families and things. And there's like, I think it's Steve Eichel said, he's like a cult expert, and he said there's like 200 cults in every state or something. Like, and they can be small, they can be small little groups and things. It's why we probably don't hear about most of them. The stakes are actually a lot higher for a smaller group.
Wow. God, Kelli, that is so much.
Yeah. Well, the stakes are a lot higher for a smaller group, because if somebody says something, there's less people who know about, what's going on. And that person will get ostracized a lot worse, I think. So
I think that's where we get in trouble. Yeah. I think that's where we get in trouble. And I think this is what a lot of the visceral reaction to Tom Cruise as a supporter of Scientology, when he starts in on that very arrogant way of acting, which Jenna Miscavige and Isabella did a great video yesterday about the arrogance that can come within Scientology and be fostered. And I saw that a lot, because you're told you are an immortal being. Maybe we are, maybe we aren't. It's just like, why can't people just believe what really is true for them? Because in Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard said, what's true for you is true for you, but that is not actually a practice in Scientology. What's true for you is true for you until it conflicts with what L. Ron Hubbard said. Then you need to get rid of that BS, because L. Ron Hubbard, what he said is what is true. And in many different religions, and I think it all comes down to the person. I know people in so many different religions and how they handle themselves and how they present it. And I admire most the individuals who can stand firm is when you ask, right? Or you want to know, like, this is what I believe. This is what I use as guiding principles. This is where I look to for help, whether it's praying, meditating, whatever it is that you do, and not be dependent upon other people having to believe or think the same way. I love that. I admire that. I can talk about people and their different religions all day because I'm fascinated by those differences and the psychology behind some of it. But when it's open and like, yeah, this is what I believe, but I'm not saying that everybody needs to think that way. And because I look at it and I go, okay, regardless of what you believe, if you think that there's a higher power of some sort, or there was one God that created the universe and everything, why would people then have free will and the ability to make different choices if that's what they weren't actually supposed to do? If they weren't actually, I look at that logically, and for myself, I go, well, I think we're all here to learn. I don't know. I still don't know for sure, if there's multiple lifetimes, or if we're just, I do believe that, I don't think that when I die that everything ends for me. I don't think that's the case at all.
Okay.
But it's like, what, and I'm totally okay also with people thinking that that is the case, because that's the thing. I think if we can get to a point where we're like, hey, I want to know what you believe, but I'm not threatened by your beliefs if I see that differently.
Oh my
I
gosh,
actually
literally
really
preach it,
interested in,
sister.
yeah.
Preach it.
I'm interested in the conversation because I'm genuinely curious and I want to learn about other people and what their beliefs are. And I think that's where you start getting a harder, solid line between religious beliefs and what a cult actually is. Where with a cult, it's like, well, can you leave, right? What happens when you leave?
What happens when you leave? That is the telling factor, And who are you allowed to be around when you're there?
Yes. And controlling your money and all of that. And you take somebody like Tom Cruise, who is living in a whole different, he is not on the same playing field as the rest of the Scientologists.
No.
You know what I'm
Do you
saying?
think, sorry, go on.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Okay, question for you. Do you think when David Miscavige inevitably passes away or gets arrested, will Tom Cruise try and take over Scientology or create his own little branch of it?
If we say the first part again.
Okay, so David Miscavige, current leader of
Yeah.
Scientology, he's obviously human. He's going to either die or hopefully he gets arrested for some of the crazy stuff he's done. Scientology is without a leader. Do you think Tom Cruise will step up to that position or create his own thing or leave it completely?
I think that people would follow Tom Cruise. I think that Scientologists would follow Tom Cruise in a heartbeat. I really
think they would do
that
it
they
now
would.
if he said, I'm in charge now. I think they would do it.
Oh, yeah. Or if he turned against David Miscavige and said, you know what, this is just, there needs to be reform within Scientology. These things, even if he tried to claim that he didn't know about it. And I don't know what he knows ultimately and doesn't know. I just look at his own life and go, we do know that, those were Sea Organization members working for you and working for you now. And what their dedication level is and what they get paid, yet you're still using them for free labor. What he knows outside of that, we all have suspicions about it, but I think that's kind of the big thing there. It's like, you can't, it irks me when he's so passionate about the film industry, which I get, we get to have other interests while this is still all going on. He's so close to it, and that he can probably actually create change. He could he has enough influence in Scientology that if he were to stand up to David Miscavige publicly, the vast majority of the world and Scientologists would actually follow along with Tom Cruise, especially if he said things which many Scientologists disagree with. And that's the financial commitment. I would say the financial is a huge, huge one for everyday Scientologists. Mm-hmm. The demand for donations, for maxing out your credit cards, for mortgaging your homes, for giving up your 401k, all of that is a huge disagreement for many active Scientologists still.
Yeah.
And then family
even Isabella was saying
disconnection.
yesterday that they put her in tens of thousands of dollars of debt before she had basically even turned like 19. She was just a kid.
Yes.
And I can't imagine starting in the world like that, I mean, I can over here because I went to university and they charge so much money, but it's different. This is very different. It's
well, and your university degree is going to make you money. You can take a degree
allegedly.
and make money with it. Allegedly,
yes.
supposedly, that's the idea.
Allegedly, supposedly, but that is coercion, and that is, it should be illegal to do that. And they don't just do that to young people who are 17 and got the whole world in front of them. They do it to the elderly as well. Like, there's no way Tom Cruise does not know about this. I don't think he's so detached that he thinks that $47 a week is enough. I don't believe he can possibly believe that. So it just speaks to, he knows what's going on. He either doesn't care, or he thinks that that's exactly what they're here for in this lifetime. You've got to pay your graft or whatever. Maybe you'll be a famous actor in your next lifetime. Who knows what he really truly believes about it, but whatever he's done, he's justified it to himself. So he can turn a blind eye to it and continue supporting it. I
think that's the justification.
Hope, yeah, I really do still hope, like, of course, that he would expose it one day. But I just doubt it will ever happen, to be honest.
I agree with you completely. Now, there is an article that came out that we're going to look at as well here, which, let's see. Let me pull it up. I want to get your opinion on this. And in the audience here, wait till you guys see this. I want to know what you think about this. Tell us in the comments. If you're on the replay, hey, shout out to you. Ooh. Jump in the comments as well. Tom Cruise reacts to Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban's breakup, calls it karma. So
interesting.
Yes, there's a couple of different things about this that's interesting. Which, one, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban broke up. Number two, he's calling it karma. So let's just look at this. Let's take some of this from the article. Tom Cruise reportedly views Nicole Kidman's split with Keith Urban as karma for their past. Tom Cruise reportedly, believes that Nicole Kidman's split from Keith Urban is karma for the way she publicly treated him after their own split. Let's stop right there. What you talking about, Willis?
I mean, I was 7 when this happened, Natalie, so I don't know all the ins and outs, but did she treat him bad publicly? Apart from the picture where she's like, woohoo, which isn't, like, she's celebrating being free. But was there any public mistreatment of Tom Cruise that you could find?
Not that I'm aware of. In fact, she was I remember thinking, like, wow, why doesn't she just come out and share, if nothing else, her Scientology experience? But it was because of the kids. And those kids, the two adoptive children that Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman had together were turned against Nicole by Scientology. Marty Rathbun, second in command, right-hand person to David Miscavige, after leaving Scientology and the Sea Organization, came out and shared and did multiple videos about how he was involved in turning Tom Cruise's children against their mother, Nicole Kidman, and convincing them that she was a suppressive person. So it wasn't Nicole who was nasty and out there. I mean, there were rumors being planted about Nicole Kidman, having an affair, which all kinds of things that's, it's like, no.
There's a file, isn't there? Like, how they've got all these like ops going on. I bet there's a Nicole Kidman file somewhere in that building,
for sure,
of how they were going to do the PR on her. Oh my gosh. One day.
100%. 100%.
That's crazy.
I think that they've destroyed a lot of it.
So with that though, this article, whoever it's been written by, have they sourced any of these? Like, they've not reported it correctly then, because there's no examples of Nicole talking smack about Tom Cruise. Yeah,
exactly. Let's take a look.
Interesting.
Tom Cruise reportedly believes that Nicole Kidman's split from Keith Urban is karma, right? So Cruise and Kidman's 11-year marriage and subsequent 2001 divorce became one of Hollywood's most notorious splits at the time. Cruise was publicly vilified while Kidman seemingly garnered widespread sympathy in the months that followed. Okay, first off, it wasn't her garnering sympathy. People had sympathy for her because they look at Tom Cruise and, you know, even the Scientology piece and are like, oh, run, girl, run. Like, we support you in that.
Yeah. I wonder if this article has been written by a Scientologist by any chance. Only because the use of, I mean, I don't know. Sympathy is like a bad thing in Scientology, right? Like, you don't want to be sympathetic to somebody because it's like weak or something. I'm misquoting the feelings on it, but I know that there's something about that.
Yeah, there's no, like, if you that's interesting. I've thought about that a lot. I'd have to go back and look at, like, what are the driving policies behind that, but victimhood is not acceptable. On the emotional tone scale in Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard has this giant chart where body death, you're dead. And there's even emotional tone levels below that, that as a floating around spirit, you can be even more messed up. There's something worse than death, basically, is what he's saying. And then, you know, you can be angry. You can, you know, covert hostility is what L. Ron Hubbard said that the gay community is. You can be bored. You can be cheerful, all of these things. And that, I think, being a victim, I think the victim, my former Scientology friends, victim is below body death, I believe.
Is it?
On that chart? Yeah. Somebody back me up. Seal Bill, does it matter to you? Not to me. Any of my former Scientology friends, right? Isn't victim below body death? So being a victim in Scientology is being worse than dead. Like, it is no
it's like -1
joke.
or something, isn't it? It's like,
yeah, you are not allowed. You're not allowed. Now I get it. Now, being out of Scientology, being a former Scientologist, I get it. Because I used to think, like, wow, why can't I just knew inherently that being a victim was wrong and that was something I could never do. But I didn't know why. And then when I left Scientology, I was like, oh my gosh, what a control mechanism. Because in Scientology, what are we most the victims of? Scientology.
Exactly.
But if you're not allowed to be a victim, if you're not allowed to talk about things like, this is happening to me, it's being done to me in regard to Scientology, then Scientology is never at fault.
Yeah. And nobody wants to be a victim. Like, that. It's not something that you choose. It's something that is put upon you. Like, there's no, I think that's what they have flipped around, is that you've chosen to be a victim. You've made a bad thing happen to yourself, which, you know, it's.
Yeah, I think that I totally agree with you. They say that you pulled it in. And in this article, when it's saying that Tom Cruise called it karma, number one, I don't agree with that definition of karma, because I don't think karma is something that, oh, it's a punishment. I think that pulp culture wise, it gets thrown around too much like that. And in Scientology, it's called pulling it in. You pulled it in. You did something to pull that in. And even, let's say this is true, and Tom Cruise is all, oh, it's karma, and like, she deserves this, and this is what happens when you divorce me. Well, what did you do then to pull in, you know, 3 divorces and so on? And I'm not judging the divorce. Girl, I got 2 ex-husbands and a baby daddy, okay? I'm the last one to be throwing stones about that. I'm just saying, it plays into it. You cannot be a victim in Scientology, because if you could, Scientology couldn't get away with victimizing you. So they're victimizing you while at the same time telling you, you're not a victim. Don't be a victim. But look where that is on the emotional tone scale. It's below body death. You are such a loser if you try to say you're being victimized in Scientology. It's so twisted. Now, I do think there are times when, right, like, something could happen. Someone could be mugged. I knew someone in the Sea Org who was mugged. He was given a committee of evidence, which is the Sea Org equivalent of a court martial, because he was mugged. He was victimized. He was the victim of a violent crime.
With that person, was it reported to the police? The mugging?
I cannot say for sure. I don't recall those details. I would doubt it. If Scientology stopped me from reporting being SA'd to the police, I doubt they let somebody who got mugged go to the police. I would really doubt it. It's not something that we did. I knew Sea Org members who had other things happen, and the police were not involved. That was not something to turn to. And then you were just basically shown, you know, you're not a victim. Victim is below body death. at the same time, I think there are times in the world where we can be victimized, and then it's a choice of, do we want to work through that healing or not? Or do we want to be, it can take a long time. It took me well over 20 years, and I still work through the trauma of what happened to me at times. It's gotten so much better, but it took 20 years before I even told my own family about it. And this was like, I didn't tell my family, my mom specifically, until I was leaving Scientology, because I believed, as a good grown-up Scientologist and Sea Org member, that I have to protect Scientology. And they told me that having the police come and all that wouldn't be good for Scientology. So I was taking one for the team. I'd also been raised to believe that being a victim is the worst thing in the world. I'd rather be a perpetrator than a victim in Scientology.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I can echo that sentiment for sure. And look at you now, though. Like, can we just take a moment, please? Give yourself some snaps, because you're out here doing the most, showing people what it is to have a life after a cult, and, it's kind of normal to us all, isn't it? All of this awful way of thinking, these weird mentalities around how we've dealt with abuse and how we've not spoke about it until we've either come on here or done it, Aaron did a TV show or talked to a newspaper or whatever it is, that is something that can be undone. You can undo that. You can work through it. You can move past it. And you're not worse of a person for having been a victim of horrific abuse. Like, if anything, it's really strong and brave to come out here and say what has happened, because we tend to feel shame around a lot of those things. I can say that for myself. Sometimes I meet people in real life that like will have watched my channel, and they're not fans, by the way, not randoms, like someone that I work with or whatever, and they'll be like, "Oh, do you do YouTube?" I'm like, "Yeah, I have a YouTube channel," and they'll watch it and they'll be like, "Gosh, I'm just so sorry," and I feel like weird about it. I get a bit. Yeah. Oh yeah, like you just know all my trauma now. Okay, fine. And it does make me feel that little bit of, oh gosh, I don't want you to think I'm a victim. I don't want you to I don't want to feel shame about this. And it gets better. It has got better. And I just feel a bit more like, yes, it happened. I felt like I needed to share it. I'm glad I did. Please don't feel sorry for me. Like,
Yeah. I think it's that similar mentality that stops a lot of people in cults like Scientology from getting help, mental, physical, spiritual, whatever that looks like for you, or even admitting that what's happening sometimes today is because of that trauma in Scientology. Even if you weren't in Scientology, people experience trauma. And I know even I've had some physical issues over the years, and I was getting these really bad. One day I woke up, I had Bell's palsy. The next day I woke up, I couldn't walk. And this went on. I live in Minnesota. And Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Connecticut has a high incidence of Lyme. And so they always immediately test you for that here. And I had a bite. So they were like, and I got treated for it. But they were still like, this is much more, this is not a, like, you were just infected in this, like, within weeks, like, this is severe. They thought something else was going on. And it took years to actually figure out. And it wasn't until I got better. Like, I was able to walk, and then I needed a cane. This went on for years and nobody knew. I hid it. I could get by without the cane and you wouldn't know. It was just hard. So when I would go to the grocery store, I would use a cart because I didn't want people to know. Because even though I was out of Scientology for years, I was still struggling with being a victim.
But wait, who did you hide this from? Like your friends, family, like
my family.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I didn't want people to think I couldn't do my job. And at the time I was self-employed. I was working in real estate. And it was like, I didn't want people to think I couldn't do my job. And then I realized it was actually Shelby, my daughter, pointed it out to me. She said, Mom, it's what is the word? Help me in the chat. Is it ableist? When you're like,
yes. If you discriminate against someone with any sort of physical thing for their job, if they can still do it, like you can't discriminate. You're not allowed to. As an employer, you're not allowed to.
Yeah, Shelby helped me understand that I was kind of being ableist in a way with myself because I was unwilling to admit, like, why was I associating if I needed a cane to do a showing in a home with not being able to do my job? Is that me putting that out there or is it actually my client?
Mm.
And I realized it was me. It was more me. I had this consideration, and it was largely from my indoctrination in Scientology that I couldn't be seen as weak or vulnerable. And this was years after I left Scientology. And it was such a horrible experience for years, but I'm also kind of glad it happened because I don't know that I would have learned that lesson. And it's still something that I've struggled with as I got better, as I needed the cane less. And the way I got better was by using the cane. And I had physical therapists and doctors, and they kept saying, because I kept saying, I can do it. I can walk from the car to the grocery store. I don't need handicap parking. And they would say, yes, you do. Because you physically can do it in that moment doesn't mean that you should, because you're not going to be
Yes.
able to do other things later. So for a long time, I had to very much be very intentional about how I was going to use my energy. And I very much had, what do they call it? Like an invisible disability. You wouldn't know if you looked at me, and because I could fake it so well to get around, people wouldn't see how it would affect me later. And then as I got better, then I started getting more and more of these really bad muscle spasms. I mean, horrible, contorting my body, super painful. Going to the doctor, tell her about it. This goes on for 3 months. She's like, drink water, try this, try that, magnesium. I finally start videotaping what happens. And I was having, I think they called them non-brain seizures.
Wow.
And I would start videotaping it and have Tony helping me. And he would see this happen to me. And I showed it to her one day at my next appointment. I'm like, I want you to see this. And she looks at it and she's like, her jaw dropped. And her reaction was almost a, why didn't you tell me? And I'm like, girl, I've been telling you. But she worked with me for all those months. And then she put this together. And I think that if you've gone through trauma or you're a former Scientologist, this might help you. She said, Natalie, when you're here in the office, because I wasn't getting muscle spasms when I'm in the doctor's office, they happen when I stop, when I sit, when I relax. That's when it would happen, especially after activity. And she said, the way you talk about it is like nothing, like you're telling me about what you had for lunch. And I'm like, yeah, like I don't get it. And she's like, you have an incredible tolerance for pain. And I'm like, yeah, because you should. And I'm still like brainwashed in this like Scientology way of thinking. And she said, medically, you have to present your symptoms. You have to show it. And I said, well, I don't spasm at 1:00 in the afternoon generally.
Yeah.
When a doctor's
And you
appointment
did show it. You had a video.
That when I showed her the video, she finally got to see it. And apparently me explaining it nonchalantly without emotion, because that's what I was that's how I was, because I was indoctrinated to be that way, was preventing me from getting proper medical care. Because I would be like, why is it I take Tony to the ER? Now, granted, he had cancer. It was a whole nother thing. But even before that, once he like hurt his toe, pain medication. And I would be in so much pain, and it's like, here's some water.
I mean,
it was my own fault because I wasn't communicating it.
Hot take. I do think men respond to pain a lot differently than women do. I think that if they hurt their toe or something, I think it will be a lot more exaggerated than if you hurt your toe, for instance.
Yeah.
But that gets results at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That gets them what they need.
Exactly.
Do you find it's the same when you're talking about some of the things too? Like pain is one thing, but then your experiences as well, right? It's like, well, then this happened and then this happened, and they're crazy things. But do you think it is like the training routines, like flattening out your reactions to stuff that makes it that way?
I also think it's the indoctrination of keeping your TRs in, of communicating clearly and effectively, regardless of what's going on. physically or otherwise. I've been indoctrinated to do that since I was a child in the single digits, age-wise. I mean, we would have to sit and do training routines and not move, not flinch, not itch, not scratch, not nothing. And it created this where, and I'm wondering if that's not the case for many in that way. And then I wasn't properly getting the medical care because I wasn't able to really communicate and show the actual pain that I was in. And then when I did, it was a game changer. She sent me to the University of Minnesota, and they did like 2 different neurologists, their whole team. They did all these tests, all these things. They figured out what it was, what a correct treatment plan would be for me. They sat me down, both the neurologists. I remember this. I didn't tell them anything about me outside of physically what was going on. And they're like, okay, so Natalie, we usually see this with people who've experienced multiple tours of duty, blown off limbs, seen people blown up. The brain rewires, and your issue is not a hardware issue. There's no lesions in your brain or on your spine, but it is a software issue. Your brain rewired, and your brain and your nervous system are not communicating correctly. And I'm like, oh. And then they kind of waited like, girl, what's your deal? Right? Like what? And I'm like, well, I did grow up in a cult. I grew up in Scientology, and I told them very little, and they were both like, oh, ding, ding.
Wow. But isn't that crazy that can have, like, that is the effect of, there's a physical effect of growing up in this organization, let alone all the mental effects of it.
Oh, exactly.
And they push you so hard. They physically push you so hard. How I always consider myself lucky that I didn't end up, joining the Sea organization or anything. I did tell them I was going to be a famous singer, so that's why I was busy. But it's just unfathomable to the regular person, and listen, I adore you, and I just have so much respect for you for what you have done since, and your just sort of general attitude to life in the world. So I love you.
I love you too.
Anyway, Tom Cruise.
Yes, Tom Cruise. We kind of tangent in there, but I think our point being the difference. I don't even know how we got there, but I am doing a lot better. I still get treated for it. I still do the things that help. Even cognitive behavioral therapy is something that they recommended to help reframe. I literally had to start seriously healing from Scientology to physically get better. And it's working. It's better. Now I have episodes where I'll need the cane, but they're few and far between now. And the spasms are less, especially since I moved recently.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I need to come check your place out. I'm seeing plants in the background, cozy sofa. Like, girl, I need a walkthrough. We need a tour.
I know. We'll do a tour. You got to come visit me too.
Yes, please. That would be nice.
So, but getting back to our topic, this is how we got on this tangent here was, Tom Cruise basically saying it was karma for Nicole Kidman, or allegedly saying that. This is in this article, who knows for sure what the deal is, right? And Cruise was publicly vilified while Kidman seemingly garnered widespread sympathy in the months that followed. According to an insider, it stuck with Cruise all these years later, and seeing Kidman's shock split from Urban has given him mixed feelings as a result. When Tom and Nicole split, he caught all the blame and she got all the sympathy, one source told IB Times.
I would have thought he would have flattened that button, I would have thought he would have worked on that. Holding it for years, brother. Come on, you got to let it go.
Surely you could have exercised some body thetans and it would have gotten better.
Exactly.
Where did Scientology come in there to like help heal your upsets?
Exactly.
Tom was really stung by the way Nicole handled their breakup. She went on TV, made digs about his height, and painted herself as the victim while he stayed silent and took the hits. Okay, number one.
This is because she said he was short. Oh my God.
And that's just a fact. And she said, now I get to wear high heels. And it wasn't mean-spirited. And it is a fact. And I'm sorry, this man's church, in quotes, turned her children against her. If she wants to make one crack about his height like that, I am okay with that. Seriously, he suffered. Who's the victim now, Tom Cruise?
It's karma. She said I was short.
And no, you didn't take all the hits because of anything Nicole Kidman said or did. You took the hits because of your own behavior and your attitude, your lack of compassion as well. That's why you took the hits.
Yeah, and also why? Because that's the only thing they've cited there is something she said, right? That whatever, she could wear high heels. But that isn't portraying him as a bad guy. Why is being short a bad thing? You know what?
Yeah, it's not.
So I think he's got some work to do on his
Mhm.
Napoleon complex.
I know. I always, like, in the past, between my multiple husbands and baby daddy, you know.
The way you say it makes it sound so scandalous.
I know it does. It does. You like, I was always with taller men, and my Tony he was like a little over 5'9", and he was the shortest man I'd ever been with in a serious relationship. But we fit perfectly. Like, it was so perfect. I was like, oh my gosh, my neck doesn't hurt. Like, one of my husbands was 6'3", another or 6'5", not another husband, a serious relationship. And I'm 5'5" and a half on a good day. That just always kind of blew my mind. Like, it's not a bad thing.
Do people ever say to you, I thought you'd be taller? I've had that because I'm 5'4", and people are like, oh, I really thought you'd be tall. I'm like, you can see this much. Why would you think that?
I know. I think sometimes, depending on who it is, right, and what the situation is, I don't think I've gotten those kind of comments on my height. It's more that, that I'm more quiet than they would think. But what I don't point out in the moment,
That's lies. You're not quiet.
No, not when it's just a few people, but when there's a lot of people and lights and sounds, and like our last trip to Clearwater, I was overwhelmed as all get out. I was like, oh my goodness, it was amazing. But at the same time, for me, it's a lot. It's a lot of stimulation. It's a lot of people. And so I tend to just, I will be a little bit more quiet because I'm overwhelmed. A lot of like lights and people and stuff. It just can be overwhelming. But get me alone with just, I don't know, maybe 3 people.
Yeah, the only thing I can do in a big room like that where it's like lights and sounds, I can dance, and that's about it. I can get down with the vibe, but yeah, you can't hear everything quite right. Like, there's lots of flashing going on. I'm with you. It's I get overwhelmed by big crowds and lots of people as well. For sure.
Yeah, I think that's very common for a lot of people. It's just the way it is. Some people are extroverts and they get their energy from being around other people, and some people are introverts and they get their energy from being alone. And that doesn't mean, and I get my energy more from being alone or with one other person. I love being with other people.
Same.
It's just afterwards, I am very, very tired.
Just need a little nap.
Yeah, I'm very tired. And when we were at Clearwater and protesting, like, I do have a physical condition still. So like when I'm doing a lot of walking and I'm carrying things, I get tired.
Though. You were great. Like, that was so much fun. Like, my first ever protest was the first one we did. The first time not this year, the year before. Yeah, was it last year? And I'd never done a protest before. I was so nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, like, who's going to be here? We walked down like the downtown Clearwater where it's all like empty. But then there was people like with cameras that were obviously like spying on us. And I was like, you kind of think it's a joke, that it's all a bit of a spy movie and a bit of, secret Men in Black service thing. But they really do act like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They really
do. Very Men in Black
waiting outside people's houses. Like, I am sure, because I think we were blissfully unaware for most things, because why would you assume anyone was around you? But the more I think about it, I'm like,
oh, they were there in front of the house, remember?
Oh my God, yes. And I think, like, we had like the Uber driver who was definitely like, he had been like, for those of you guys don't know, we all stayed in the same place when we visited Clearwater, and we were going to the protest, were we? Or we might have been going to a party or something. And our Uber driver was sat outside the Fort Harrison hotel for time, like a good at least like 10 minutes. He was just sat there. And then he started his journey. So I was like, oh, he's been briefed. He's been briefed. He's then I'm like, I feel crazy because I'm like, this is like making me paranoid.
And I'm always like, there's, like, okay, you can follow us. You can, I mean, they did when we went to Miami too, but there's just like, I don't know what you think you're going to find out because we talk about everything on YouTube and, my life's just not that exciting. They're primarily concerned with who are we talking to? Are we talking to any Scientologists that are under the radar, anything like that? What Scientology fails to see is, I'll speak for myself. I'm not doing things going and actively trying to pull people out of Scientology. I'm speaking to a broader audience. I'm sharing my experience in the hopes that when someone Googles Scientology, who maybe is a Scientologist, that they see my story and that they're able to relate to it. Or people who've not been in Scientology, maybe it was another cult high control group, or I mean, there's so many things that can cause the same amount of trauma that's not necessarily Scientology, that helps them as well. It's a bonus because most people in Scientology aren't looking on the internet, but they accidentally will come across things. That's what happened to my ex-husband. He accidentally came across something and he read it and went, whoa. And it was basically when a lot of the international executives left Scientology and did that big Tampa Bay Times story for him, because he's like, wow, I would see these people on stage at Scientology events. And now here they are talking about, the crimes occurring within Scientology. And that for him opened the door to leaving. And I think it's important also, it's been helpful for me to talk about my own story and continue to share about Scientology because it helps me process it. There's a reason I want to do it to help other people, but it's also for me. I find it helpful and I am still healing from Scientology. It's, like I just said, physically, the things that I'm still dealing with and working through. I spent 35 years, most of my life in Scientology. What would that make me then? I'd be like 70 or 75 because my mom got in when I was 5. That I will have I'll be 75 plus before I can say I've spent more time out of Scientology than in. It's a lifetime of recovery, I think, from it. And so for me, it helps. It helps a lot to come and talk about it, to share about it, to laugh about it, to joke about it. Because those are things we weren't allowed to do. Talk about it, laugh about it, joke about it. None of that. None of that. And for me, I have found it very helpful. It's like it breaks this hold, this seal, because I talked about it, I laughed about it, I joked about it, and I didn't get hit by a car. Because Scientology has you convinced that if you turn against Scientology, that you are actually something horrible is going to happen to you. And sometimes bad things happen because they just happen. It's not because of this or that, or because you spoke out about Scientology. A lot of people don't do anything like that in the world and go through very large challenges. Scientology is not that powerful. They don't have that much, control.
Yeah.
But I appreciate everybody's story.
It do take balls though, Natalie. Like I don't think that even everyone that does come out of this group will talk about it. And they shouldn't have to either. When you go through something like this, all you need to focus on really is your recovery and how you move on. I think it's an amazing thing to go and put yourself out there and share it online because it does help other people. My parents left Scientology after seeing stuff on the internet. My dad was doing his OT5 and he was like, weird, it seems to be just more of the same. And did some Googling and came across all of the things that people were posting on forums, and this was in 2008, 2009, which was, a little bit more of the internet, I guess, with all those like message boards and things. Again, I wasn't there. Like I was there, but I was a kid, so I don't know all of it. But I think it's amazing, and I sometimes feel a bit I never regret sharing what's happened to me regarding Scientology on the internet. I never regret that because I felt compelled to share it, and there are people that have reached out to me that have said, oh my gosh, like I'm in a similar thing, my parents are in this thing, and I thought I was alone. And again, I'm like you, I'm not trying to pull anybody out of it at all. I don't think that's my job or place or even my expertise. All I have is my experience, and I can say on that what I can. I wasn't in the Sea Org, so I don't have any of that knowledge like you guys do. But I think all of our different experiences are so important because they will relate to somebody else out there. There are tons of public Scientologists probably that might relate to my story, and tons of Sea Org members that will relate to yours. So I'm proud of us, is what I'm saying. I'm proud that we're out here and we're doing this. And we have to talk about Tom Cruise because he is a big public figure, but this goes so much beyond Tom Cruise, like
Yes.
so much beyond him. And we honestly thank all you guys that are here supporting, what we're sharing with you, and you're sharing out to the world. So yeah,
I agree. I want to, Astrid, thank you for becoming a member of the channel, for growing up in Scientology. Mahalo. Malevolent Queen, you as well. Thank you for becoming a new member. That's fantastic. Karen McCourt, hey, how are you? Good day, everyone. Free Aaron.
Look at that
Love
puppy.
That.
So cute.
Oh, in the picture? Yeah. I didn't even see the dog. Look at you're right.
So cute.
Roadkill Ron says Tom Cruise is a tool. Never really liked any of his movies. Free AA Ron.
I think you can buy free AA Ron t-shirts now. I think they've the merch store has got them, haven't they?
I think so. I am totally
Take a look, you guys, under the video.
Link? Yep.
If you look under the video, there should be a
link.
merch thing. Oh, sweet.
I just ordered my free AA Ron shirt.
When he gets
George,
out,
can you throw up a link and then I'll share it?
When he gets out, I really, really want us to do a game thing. That would be so much fun.
For sure.
I have worked on a new version of werewolves, but I think we'll call it Traitors because of the TV show, obviously. But I think we should do it as a big fundraiser thing, like a SPTV Foundation one. So I don't know. We need to play more games and have more fun.
I'm all for that. I say we could do or play a game even before.
Yeah.
Let's see. Kristen says at award shows now it's so funny because all of Tom's old friends are there. Nicole and he's never there because he isn't their caliber.
I don't know if I understand.
Coffee Colton Crafts. Marilyn says, I had a crush on Tom Cruise as a teenager. Not anymore. Ooh,
Marilyn, why?
I mean, I guess physically he's not my type. But I mean, I get it, Marilyn. I get it. Old Frizzle says, SP Nation, getting behind Aaron. So glad his legal fund is doing well. Lawyers are crazy expensive. Amen to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kelstrom says, you guys have helped me to realize, yes, I was affected, but there was so much more horror than what I experienced. Your guts, I think, guys, you guys are warriors. TC is a waste of oxygen.
A little harsh there, but I understand what you're saying.
And it's all a process, and different people are at different points in their recovery and their healing. And sometimes it's 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Sometimes it's 5 steps back and then 5 forward. There's no just linear, like this is just how it goes, which is what in Scientology we were indoctrinated to think and believe, is that things weren't going right unless they were straight up and vertical. If you could measure it and it was like whoosh, that was the only thing that was acceptable. And that is just not reality. It's just not reality.
Hell no.
But let's see. Ben Bacon Bit says, would he be big enough to thank the children that pimped out his hanger? Yeah, I don't know if I'm not familiar with a story of kids specifically pimping out his hanger. Very much could be. I just remember John Brousseau sharing that story, and there's probably a video somewhere on YouTube about it. There's definitely articles about it of them pimping out his hanger, and I would not be surprised at all if there weren't people under the age of 18 doing that.
And they'll twist it as well, won't they? They'll be like, oh, look, you guys are so lucky. You guys are doing Tom Cruise's hanger up, but he's going to know that you guys, you're such big beings. Yes. No, they're children that you're making work for free. Like, can we stop?
Yeah, exactly. That is exactly it. Jojo Point 2 says, yes, I think he's a good actor when he was younger and less conceited, but I dislike him because of who he is as a person. I agree. Not thrilled with him as a person. And I do like his earlier stuff. I like better. I wasn't a huge fan of the Mission Impossible stuff. Like it was okay. It was just not my brand of movie too. And it just got harder and harder to just, watch him run around playing the hero. It's like all I could see is like, wow, I wonder who's off to the side. What Sea Org member is frantically getting his, his latte ready, just how he likes it, or I don't know. You hear the stories about the way he even speaks to the crew sometimes when putting demands on them, and it's all justified because he's doing the work. He's saving the movie industry, so it's okay if he talks to you like this with intention. It's like,
yeah. That was that leaked recording of COVID, right? Like there was some threat that they were going to shut down his production because of the standing too close and masks and all of this stuff. But you can just ask nicely. Why you got to yell at them? Come on, they're not even getting paid enough. Like, come on,
because they're doing a he's giving what L. Ron Hubbard called a severe reality adjustment. He is impinging, and that's a justification in Scientology, especially for within the Sea organization and Scientology staff, to mistreat people and yell at them and do that and be violent is because you're impinging. You have to put more pressure on them than their reactive mind and their body thetans can. It's justified that way. And I'm sure that's his point of view too, is he is impinging. He's doing this. It's the greater good. So he's justified in doing what he does. Northern Girl says, I used to watch his movies before I knew how bad his cult is. Now I don't watch anything he does. I get that.
Again,
never in
SP. If he came out and it was like, he's a double agent, he's gathered all this intel, he's going to end it, he would have the most support in the world. I actually think he would. It just never happened though. I just wish he would though. I wish he would. Never going to happen though.
I'm not sure too at 63, I feel that sometimes, not always, but as we get older, people just kind of get more stuck in their ways too. At this point in his life, he's going to, I don't know. I don't see that happening. There's no reason. There's no pressure. No one is going to Tom Cruise that is within his circle of influence and saying, hey, Tom, did you know what happens to women in the Sea organization if they get pregnant? Like, do you know? I just don't think that anyone's going to point that out to him. I mean, let's be real. When Tom Cruise would show up at the Celebrity Center in Los Angeles, they would make sure they would only put forth the attractive Sea Org members who looked like they had their act together, who could smile and look happy. That was the dictate. They didn't even let people on the elevator with him. Wow. You could have nobody looking like they were bummed out. Like, get rid of the Sea Org members that are looking like they don't want to be here or are bummed out or tired or look like heck because of that. So they're only showing him, the cream of the crop. This is like, oh no, look, we're so happy to be here. We're so happy to wait on you, Tom Cruise. It is an honor. And I don't doubt that even Sea Org members, some of them will see it that way because they were indoctrinated to believe that dedicating their lives to this bigger cause, and because they're told Tom Cruise, David Miscavige said, is the most effective Scientologist he knows, that they have to flow power to him because L. Ron Hubbard said flow power to power.
What does being the most effective Scientologist mean?
Well, when he got his giant plate medal, his Medal of Honor, whatever it was called, they went over like how many millions of people he has reached with his message. Yet I remember sitting there, and again, I was a fully in Scientologist at the time, being like, what are they counting? Like the movies? his
because that's not a
box office
message.
numbers. No,
Yeah, that's
when's
not
he talking
it.
about Scientology? Hardly.
Yeah, so that's what I'm wondering. Like, what does that mean? Being effective, being noticed, being I don't know.
I think it's just, I think that was David Miscavige's way of keeping Tom Cruise in the fold. Because remember, Tom Cruise actually stepped out from Scientology for almost 10 years when he was married to Nicole Kidman. His first wife, Mimi Rogers, got him into Scientology. She was a second generation Scientologist and ended up leaving. So then he gets Nicole Kidman into Scientology, starts that whole indoctrination. And at some point, they my understanding is she was an influence in getting him to not be so at David Miscavige's beck and call. And when they went and did Eyes Wide Shut, he had no contact with David Miscavige. And I remember a former Scientology executive sharing that infuriated David Miscavige because Tom Cruise now was no longer taking or responding to his calls. It wasn't till Tom Cruise was having, I think, some difficulty in his marriage. And, when he reconnected, when it was Marty Rathbun, who was a former Scientologist, former Sea Org member, former right-hand man to David Miscavige, who has been accused of, bending to the will of Scientology because they basically blackmailed him, who had said, yeah, we worked really hard to get him back and we catered to him and got him to see that Nicole is a suppressive person. Nicole Kidman did not want to continue in Scientology. And she did, I think, operating Thetan level 1 or 1 and 2. Oh. This is highly unusual. You are not allowed to start operating Thetan level 1 unless you're going to get through 3. You're not allowed to leave. So how she was allowed to leave, and then she leaves Scientology right after that. So she got through the state of clear where she no longer had a reactive mind. She realized that she was creating it on her own the whole time and she just wasn't going to do it anymore. And it took a lot of money to realize that. And then she starts the operating Thetan levels and seemed like, no, I'm out, and did influence him enough to not be involved for a while. He gets back involved. What do? Contribute to the splitting up of their marriage, turn the children against Nicole Kidman because Nicole Kidman was pulling away from Scientology.
Yep.
And Tom Cruise.
And that's what cults do. They
exactly
get you away from people who might deter you from showing up for the group. It's just so glaringly obvious. I don't know how it baffles me that they can be classed as a religion anywhere.
I know, it really does. It really does. It's like, how is this still going on? I ask myself that all the time. And they have a lot of money. It's amazing what you can do with money, what you can put out there. And now they're on this whole, TikTok with their younger people trying to show, no, we do have young people. Because what have we been saying here on YouTube for a while now? There are no young people in Scientology.
No, there are. And they're right in that, sweet spot of their life where they're about to go and choose their career, future, all of that stuff. And if they get isolated, they're not going to be able to make those connections outside of there. I had no idea that Scientology talk was a thing. All of these videos they're making, I only saw it yesterday on
me too,
Jenna and Isabella's video. I was like, this is unhinged and amazing.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it either. I had seen the Minnesota one because I'm from Minnesota and I know the family that the kid belongs to. And so I did a video with Aaron about it. But I didn't realize there were so many others until I watched Jenna's and Isabella's video. And I think that's part of what makes it so valuable. Having them on this other platform is it's so much more prevalent with younger people. And to be able to combat that with some truth about Scientology in a way that people can, especially young people, can digest it and understand it.
I wonder if they must have a stats thing on it, right? They're measuring the Scientology TikTok stats, how we doing. They've got their PR points or whatever that weird system is that they have, right?
Yeah, they get points for positive press.
Yeah.
I think inches of positive press and then it's viewership, but then it goes the other way. Negative press gets counted. So I wonder on TikTok, how do they measure that with all the comments that they delete? Because my suspicion is they're deleting more comments than they're actually doing. And I'm sure they have Scientologists coming on as well to, I mean, let's be real. The average person, especially young person, I don't think is going to be all like, why y'all hating on Scientology? Like there's enough information out there. And even if there wasn't, when you look at them in their tight vest uniforms, you go, I don't know. Is this really my influencer? Am I going to be influenced by this person? I am not a young person, but I kind of doubt it.
Definitely not. And, I think it's not fair because it does put them up for, they're obviously being asked to make these TikToks, right?
Yeah.
And it does put them in the firing line of TikTok commenters, which I don't think that's particularly fair. Like TikTok is the Wild West, there's a lot going on out there. And people they don't hold back in their comments. So yeah. I do feel a little sorry for them. Maybe one day they'll, come out the other side and can laugh at it, but I don't know.
I know. And they will. They're young enough.
Yeah.
They're young enough. Look at Joy Vila. She was promoting Scientology. She was out there in the media, a celebrity, and she left, and she has been doing a lot of work to share her story, to expose Scientology, to get her message out. It happens. It happens. Those people, like, I remember looking at some articles about her and thinking, gosh, I really hope she leaves. And then when I started seeing certain things, I was like, ooh, I feel like they're coming down on her about her Christian beliefs, and they're not allowing it because she had achieved the state of clear, but was never allowed to do the upper levels. And I would look at that and go, the only reason you're not allowed to do the upper levels when you have them paid for is because Scientology thinks you're a security risk. You haven't done enough contributions in their eyes, but she was doing so much to help Scientology that didn't fit. So the only thing left too would be a belief, and it's the core of her being and who she is her belief and her practice with Christianity. It's a big part of who she is. And they were pressuring her to give that up, trying to correct her, interrogation, security checks, with the hopes that she would see that this is not the way. Because when Scientology likes to say, well, we're non-denominational, you can be this and that and a Scientologist. That's actually not true. You can to a degree. You can to a point. When you first start, you walk in the door at the Hollywood Testing Center.
Like, you believe in Jesus? That's nice.
Exactly. They're not going to go like, oh yeah, you believe in Jesus? No, you can't do that. Bye. No, they're going to be like, oh, you can be a Christian and a Scientologist. You can be Muslim and a Scientologist, all this. And it's actually not true. My mother was a Scientologist, and before she died, she got baptized into a Christian church. It's what she wanted to do before she died. And I also think that she wanted to push buttons with Scientology because she was on operating Thetan level 7 when that happened.
Good for her.
Yeah, it was like such a kind of clap back in a way, because it was so much of at that level. And she was a very dedicated Scientologist. She had run the operating Thetan committee, which is like PTA for Scientology. She was a public Scientologist, not a staff member at that time. So for her, somebody who was what Scientology calls an opinion leader, she was like their version of an influencer within Scientology, to go get baptized. And for her, I remember her telling me, she's like, and she was sick. My mom had kidney failure. I gave her a kidney. She lived 7 more years, and then she died. And so at that time, she knew that, her time was limited. And that's a choice that she made for herself, that she took comfort in. And she said, I just want to go back. It's like to where she was before Scientology, and try and experience some spirituality that she felt connected to. And she did. And she got written up for it. My daughter Shelby was in Florida at Flag at those buildings doing training. And Shelby got pulled into an ethics interview and told, like, your grandma's out of control. She just got baptized. Well, Scientology, if it's okay. My mom also did it to make a point. Okay, you can be a Scientologist and a Christian. Hold my purse. And what happened? They reacted badly. She got in trouble for it. I got in trouble for it. My daughter got in trouble for it. And all the while we're saying, what happened to Scientology being non-denominational?
Right.
And they're like, no, not at this level. Like, so anyway, that's untrue. So props to Joy Vila for following her heart and what's right for her in doing that and standing up to Scientology in the process. I mean, they would have just destroyed her. They tend to, they're attracted to artists because artists tend to have influence, whether you're, a celebrity who is, in movies or a musician in any way, or you're somebody who has a lot of money. If you have influence, Scientology will try to exert even more control and watch you even more closely to make sure you stay in the fold.
I feel like a lot of young people now are a lot more savvy to scams and stuff, and unfortunately, I think the way that Scientology has always presented, they still have their like model from the 50s of, we can help you with all these problems that are sort of not really very measurable and not really very tangible, but they're there. You're finding like you're just struggling a little bit with like focus, something very vague, something whatever.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get people that way with those things, but I don't know that people necessarily will fall for that so much anymore, because I think as well people are much more willing to talk about their mental health in general, especially this newer generation. Well, that made me feel really old just then. I was like, oh, new generation. But it's true. Like, I turned 31 this week, guys. 31 years old.
Yeah, happy belated birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't think they would fall for these scams so much, because we can talk about mental health. People are much more willing to get checked out for things like ADHD or anxiety and depression and things that are very prevalent amongst younger people. So having Scientology as a sort of alternative for that stuff, I just don't think it sells the same, especially when all your friends are probably, if you know one person that knows something about Scientology, you're probably never going to join it because you know that it's whack.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Dave's Deep Dives has a question. Isn't Tom Cruise out exchange in relation to the Sea Org members directly? That is a great question, Dave. And at exchange is what it sounds like in Scientology. L. Ron Hubbard says you have to maintain exchange. If I give you an apple, you have to give me an apple. If I give you 2 pieces of fruit, you have to give me 2 or more pieces of fruit. There is exchange. There is exchange in abundance where I'm going to give you more than I'm getting, but you're basically always owed. Everything is transactional in Scientology. Now, when it comes to giving free labor and whatnot to somebody like Tom Cruise, here's how they look at it is like that individual Sea Org member is not necessarily like, okay, here I'm getting this from Tom Cruise. No, it is an honor because Tom Cruise is out there reaching people in a way that you can't as a Sea Org member. Tom Cruise is out there swaying the minds of politicians. Because remember, these people in Scientology, they're only hearing the propaganda though. That's the thing. He's not out there. He was for a period of time when his sister became his publicist. That was a hot mess. That was during the couch jumping, Katie Holmes, going after Brooke Shields era, all of that, I'm pretty sure. And then that was all stopped. Like he learned pretty quick. He should keep his mouth shut about it. It's not helping anything. So there's no feeling about exchange because Tom Cruise is creating such large effects that the entire of Scientology, if anything, is at exchange with Tom Cruise. You see what I'm saying? Because he does so much. But all anybody knows in Scientology is what Scientology tells them. I even remember thinking like, well, I haven't really seen Tom Cruise out promoting Scientology, so it must be happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, of course.
It is the craziest thing. Silver Pixie Girl, thank you for becoming a member. Appreciate.
Maybe he would paint a hanger if they had one. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you painted my jet hangar. I'm going to paint yours and your second one. Oh, you don't have one because you only get paid $47 a week? Well, sucks to be you.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's kind of like, that's more, Scientology math there. But it is interesting. It is such a double, triple standard. And that's the sad part for me is when, a group of people who are dedicated their lives, even though they're dedicating their lives on a falsehood, they're still doing it because they care. It's not a selfish act to join the Sea organization. You give up everything. It's almost like, I think for some, you have to have a level of, they tend to do a really good job too, manipulating people who struggle with self-worth. And if you struggle with self-worth, they make you feel like here's where you can prove your self-worth. You can have self-worth. You can have a sense of purpose and duty. And there's something to be said for that in life. So they manipulate a natural desire to be part of something that's bigger than ourselves and to have a sense of honor and duty, because that's something that's desirable for many, except have you directed toward doing the works of a cult without knowing it. And that's where, when I go to
They
flag,
liken
like,
it to the military, they liken it to
yeah,
serving our country, serving the country and or being a police officer, like you're a line of defense almost, is how they try and portray it, isn't it? So of course
yeah,
we would feel that way. Yeah.
yeah. Of
Sorry, I
course, it's
interrupted you.
that way. It's really sick that way that it's done, because it's so manipulative. And when we've been to Florida, even together, we've gone twice now. I've been there twice when you've been there. And I walk around those buildings. What gets to me is not the Office of Special Affairs or security. For me personally, I'm like, they're just going to do what they do. Osa gun Osa. You know what I'm saying? Osa be Osing. That's what they do. It's like expecting you
Get that on
can
a
look at a
t-shirt.
spider. Yeah, you look at a spider and you get upset because it's climbing up the wall. Spiders be spidering. That's what they do. And I'm not justifying what they do, but I'm saying I expect that.
Yes.
What breaks my heart is seeing the Scientologists and Sea Org members. You can tell they physically look like they've been kicked in the stomach. Often there's a heaviness to it. You don't see them walking around all, oh, hey, how are ya? Oh, heading in the flag. People approach a grocery store with more passion and enthusiasm than they
Yeah,
do
no, I
going
have
into a
to agree.
Scientology building. Yeah. Even on my best day in Scientology, there was always this level of, I got to go in. I got to go on course today. It was an obligation. It's something I had to do. It's just very different. But that's what breaks my heart. That's what makes me feel heavy. That's what makes protesting for me difficult and upsetting, is I can feel it. I can see it. And I remember so much of what that was like, and knowing that you had to hide that. I have to hide. I can't look like I don't want to be here. I can't sound like I don't want to be here, even if I don't, because I'll be interrogated. And it's easier to be compliant. That's why they're so strict.
Yeah, I totally get. I can't relate to you on the level of being in the Sea Org that way, but I spent a short time at Greenfield School in St. Hill, East Grinstead, and I got in trouble a lot because I didn't want to clap for L. Ron Hubbard. I didn't get a lot of the stuff, like the frustration that comes when you're constantly having like a dictionary thrown at you.
Yeah.
And it just becomes so frustrating, because it's like every single thing you do or say is being picked apart all day long, and it's exhausting.
Yeah.
So I can't relate to you on this, on the heaviness of that, but
Yeah.
being in the environment with, I mean, our teachers were Scientologists, obviously bringing that stuff to us. So I can only relate to you on that, in that way. And it's horrible. And there is we try and have fun, don't we? We always try and have fun.
Yeah.
And that has been amazing about the Clearwater protests, is that there is so much joy and so much community. And I think even though it's so juxtaposed with the heaviness that you mention, those people in there need to see that there's something else, that there is some levity and some joy. And, you know, yes, we are protesting this, guys, but we're all hanging out because we have a life. You know, we have a life, we're friends, we're doing this, you know, and that's, I think that is important, because if they just see an angry mob, we're just an angry mob, you know, which obviously it's never been like that. And I think that's really, really amazing about the Clearwater protests. And I hope, oh my gosh, I hope that at some point down the line we get to hear the stories, and we will, it's inevitable, of people that are in there right now that inevitably will leave and will be able to recount what they saw from the other side. People who have to clean the chalk up after they, you know, after they've done it. Those people have stories, and I really do think at some point we'll get to hear them. And I think that would be just amazing.
Yeah. We will. There's so many people too in recent, even just the last couple of years since I've been on YouTube and became aware of, who left, who have shared their stories. I don't share every story that I hear, in large part to protect those people who may still have family members in. There's so much that we probably don't share more stories than there are stories like that could be shared. There are so many more, but it has to work for that person, you know? And I think as people, leaving Scientology can be a process. You leave, but that's just the first step. It still can be very overwhelming. You're still processing a lot. And my personal opinion is, for some people, leaving and coming out and sharing their story is cathartic, and that works for them. That is not the case, I think, for probably most, just based on what they feel themselves, not me saying that they shouldn't do it. It's what they've experienced in themselves, because you're kind of shell shocked still, and you kind of need some time to be able to process that.
Yeah.
And it's scary. I can't tell you, it's probably well over several years, I had a recurring nightmare that I would go back, that they would come to get me, and I would just put my head down and go, okay, fine, and give up and go back. That went on for years, probably, I don't even know. When I was with Tony, I still had those nightmares. I mean, it went on probably for I've been out for 15 years. I would say for maybe 10 years. To regularly have these recurring nightmares that they were coming to get me, that they were like after me and trying to take me back. And that wasn't even as upsetting as the part of my dream that was upsetting, is that I would cave, and that defeatedness that I would feel and go back, because that's what I felt so many of the times when I wanted to leave, but didn't feel that I could, in large part because I didn't want to lose my family. You know, so much of my family was in Scientology. And I know they feel that too. And knowing the number of parents and family members who want to leave Scientology, but don't feel they can because they have family members in it, and they don't want to lose that. That is a level of control. There are so many things going on in the world that is creating, you know, situations we don't want to be in, right? War, crime, sickness, illness. People should not be in a position to have to choose between family members. I'm going to support my sister, but I'm going to lose contact with my brother because I'm going to leave Scientology. Why? That should not even be a thing. But that is how Scientology controls. And that is the big reason why so many of us continue to show up here on YouTube and other platforms and to talk about it and share about it. And from my perspective, I've said this and I keep saying it, I still believe that the majority of people in Scientology are good people. They're misguided. They have false beliefs. They've been indoctrinated. They're being bullied and threatened. Some of them would lose jobs, would lose their livelihoods if they left Scientology. So they have to continue to convince themselves that no, this is good. This is good. I mean, you're being held prisoner pretty much, but you don't want to admit you're held prisoner. So you have to pretend that everything is fine and great and wonderful. I have never met a group of people that showed up in a way that was so unreal, like everything was just all rainbows and unicorns when you go to a Scientology event, because you get written up. Oh, Natalie at the event was talking about how upset she was about having to be on course for 2 days. That is what they call an out point, and you get in trouble. There's no freedom in that. These people don't have freedom, and they don't know. They just don't know. They don't know the truth. So they're operating in a way that, of course, doesn't make sense to us. Then you have the smaller percentage, and I put David Miscavige in this category and some others who do know. You know damn good and well what you're doing. You know that you're abusing people. You know that you are forcing and controlling and holding people there.
They
and
like the
that
power.
is where, yeah, they like the power. It's a big power trip where you
I
can
wish more
control.
people would admit to it, though. Like, there's been tons of obviously people that have come out, some that had really high ranking positions and all of that. And I just find it hard to believe. I think everyone was hurt by Scientology, yes, but I do think that people rose to opportunities too, you know, and I think we're never going to hear that side of the story, you know, because let's be honest, you know, we were talking about Jenna and Isabella talking about the arrogance that can come with what you're in control of and what you have power over, because that's kind of what Scientology is selling the ability to control bodies and do things, you know, that you couldn't otherwise do without it, which is why they can protect predators and you know, people doing the worst stuff. So that's the big big issue with these people who are in the Sea Org are getting kind of left to these people who are controlling that, you know. It's not right. Like, you know, I'm kind of lost for words, really, because I think every time, especially when I hear you talk about it, we don't talk about all of this stuff like in our, you know, just our daily
We talk about
thing.
my curtains and my
We
balcony
do.
decor.
We do. We talk about decorating and all kinds of stuff like that. But every time I'm just like, oh my gosh, like it's unbelievable, Natalie. It really is.
Yeah, I think it's
And
just
no one who's
important to remember.
Yeah, and nobody, like you said, a lot of these people are good people, right? You know, the people that you knew there and that the most of the people there are exactly that. Small percentage of psychopaths, and the majority are people that were looking for answers, that wanted to make their life better for them and their family, that wanted to make life better for the world and humanity. Like, they saw these problems and they were like, maybe I can help, you know. That is a real part of what they think they are doing. So when they see opposition to it, they're seeing this, you're trying to stop us bettering the world. And it's like, it's almost an ingenious trap that L. Ron Hubbard has created, which makes it so difficult for people to leave.
Yeah, and that's why they'll end up doubling down and increasing the threats and tightening up, doing interrogations, or they have a procedure called rollback that they do to try and find out where something is coming from, where they interrogate this person who gives up another person, then they interrogate that person who gives up another person, and eventually L. Ron Hubbard says, you will find the suppressive person if you do that. But you're also approaching it from the assumption that the enemy line, like in my case, when I had rollback done on me, was who told you it was okay to have a family? Who told you it was okay to be pregnant? Because when I got pregnant in the Sea Org. And like, what gave you the idea? You know, like they're trying to insinuate that. I'm like, and now today, knowing what I know, I'm like, are you kidding? My hormones, dude. You know, that's what makes me want to have babies and having a family. Like, this is normal. And they would try and get us to see like these natural drives that you had were somehow wrong and not okay. And they were not, you needed to push that aside, because how they justify this is you are an immortal being who has lived tons of lifetimes and you will live many more lifetimes. So why can't you give up all these niceties for just a few lifetimes to save the planet and save the world? And when you put it in that perspective, right? Like if you drink a latte every day, And then one day you're like, okay, I'm just not going to have it. You know, you're used to like you doing that every day. It just becomes so much of what you do, but missing one day doesn't seem like a big deal because I had it 6 other days, right?
Yeah.
That's how they treat being in the Sea Org and being that dedicated, is that, oh, you've done it so much. You don't need to do it now. You don't need to have a career in music. You've done that so many times before. But being
that
here dedicated.
That translates to your life doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Like that's
exactly.
And that's horrible, you know. And I do think, like, you know, I'm of the sort of belief that it's a happy accident that we're here. You know, I wish I could be someone of faith and believe in something more, but I don't. I'm very much, it's cut to black and credits roll. Like you know, and I wish, I feel like it's lovely if you think there's more to it, and I wish I did, but I really struggle to. But you know, I think that every single moment here is an experience, you know, and it my life might not matter to some other person, but it matters to me and it matters to, you know, the people I love, and for them to convince you that that doesn't matter, and your family members, well, they're just family members for this life. They're just for this one. Don't worry about it.
That's just
crazy.
your child this lifetime, but you've had many children. You've been a parent many times. You can give up 1 billion years or whatever, you know, whatever amount of time till they change the rules of having children in the Sea Organization.
If you can convince someone of that, what else can you convince them to either A, do on your behalf, or, you know, to accept more absurdities as truth? Like, it's just, it's so insidious, and we joke and we joke and we joke and we can. But you know, this is the reason CAN got shut down. The Cult Awareness Network was because they recognized Scientology as one of the most dangerous and damaging cults out there for mental health, based on those that had left and the recovery process of deprogramming them. You know, and Scientology got them shut down. So
yeah, Scientologists went to the Cult Awareness Network meetings and things and tried to get them to not let them in, to then prove discrimination. My mom did that. My mom was part of that.
No.
The person who bought the Cult Awareness Network, who bought it when they were in bankruptcy because of all these lawsuits from Scientologists, was somebody here in Minnesota, a Scientologist who was operating in level 8 and had money. And she bought it. And then for a while, when you entered the phone at the Cult Awareness Network, it was a Scientologist entering the phone. But see, from the Scientology perspective, you're shutting down the psychs, you know, because they believe that psychiatry is harmful. So in their eyes, my mom believed she was doing good, that she was stopping a destructive organization that was trying to stop Scientology. So it's these falsehoods. They try to turn people into these martyrs in the name of Scientology. Give up your life, give up your money, give up your kids, give up your freedom, give up your health, because there's nothing more important than Scientology. And that's where, unless you're Tom Cruise, of course, then you don't have to give up a lot. Then you get free labor.
Vacations.
Yeah, maybe.
Because there's too much to do. He's looking for car accidents so he can help people.
Exactly. Well, you and I can go on for hours, and we are. So we are going to wrap this up. And a reminder, the mods are putting in the chat the link to the fundraiser for Aaron that we're doing. Thank you much for that, everybody who's helped out. And get caught up on his videos, any content, put on a playlist, share it with people. That helps tremendously. Content creators are paid through watch time here on YouTube. And of course, your super chats and memberships. We can't thank you all enough for everything you're doing to help us keep going as well.
Yeah, you guys have been great. This has been really fun. I've not streamed for so long, Natalie. I was like nervous coming on here. I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. Aaron's got a big channel. I'm scared.
It's been lovely. We are here with all of our friends, and we have so many people that are helping all over the place. The moderators are absolutely incredible. So Kelli, I will talk to you on the back end. Everybody else, thank you very much. Everybody who stays until the very.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, Oh, dancing for my love. Then you could click right in